Hey dudes, this is the Canon RF F1.8 IS STM macro lens. It's incredible and affordable, but even though I'm in awe of it, it does come with some quirks, so let's get into it. This is a pretty neat little RF lens, and for the most part it does get overshadowed by its RF-L siblings. Even so, this 35mm macro is super lightweight, has a fast 1.8 aperture consisting of 9 iris blades, meaning you can shoot in lower light conditions. And as the lens isn't too wide, you can work the camera to subject distance ratio to get pleasing out of focus backgrounds. But if you want to get super close, this lens also has a 0.5 times magnification ratio, which is less than most dedicated macro lenses, but with a close focusing distance of 170mm, it still allows you to get close enough to your subject to create some cool images. As with all RF lenses, the RF35 comes with a customizable control ring, which is both loud to operate and not declick from factory. And I do find it too close to the focus ring. The iris has a super slow response time, and I did find myself missing moments because of this. The lens is image stabilized, which is incredible for the price point, and the image stabilization works really well, even when the lens is wide open and at its full magnification ratio. As you can see, the difference between the IS on and off is substantial. When combined with my R5's IBIS, I was blown away by how stable the shots were, which is what made me fall in love with this little beast of a lens. It's very easy to get smooth handheld close-up shots with. The manual focusing mode is a dream in conjunction with the in-camera focusing guide. Smooth to operate, but it does take a bit to turn the lens from near to far focus. As for the AF system, in video mode the AF system slows right down and can create very nice cinematic focus pulls. It's almost whisper quiet as well, apart from a low-level motor humming noise, and this humming noise doesn't seem to disappear even when manually focusing the lens. When switching over to photography mode, the STM motor isn't quiet at all, but the AF system does become far more responsive than in video mode. At the macro end, the AF system does slow down, and the front element trombones away from the lens's body, which adds another 18mm to the lens's overall length. For photographers, this shouldn't be an issue, but for videographers, this means that matte boxes are out of the question. Because if you were to use a lightweight clamp-on matte box like this one from SmallRig, it would be adding direct weight to the AF drive system, which may affect the performance of the AF system, but also the image stabilization system. When the lens is extended, there is also a bit of play in it, and it doesn't take much pressure to get the internal lens to move around. So I don't think adding weight to the front of the lens is the best idea for its longevity. The lens does exhibit some focus breathing, which is normal for cheaper macro lenses, so it will appear to zoom in as you focus closer to your subject. As for video autofocus, when tracking towards a subject on my Axio slider at high speed, wide open, the lens pulls focus like a champ. It continuously nailed a 3-foot slide all the way up to an extreme close-up at f1.8, where I was about 20 centimeters away from the front element. This test also demonstrates that the 35mm retains high contrast even when heavily backlit, but flaring is notable and is a tinge green. Overall, the lens coatings suppress flaring well, but when you shoot subjects on a darker background, you may tend to notice chroma smearing. At f1.8, in the image corners, we see considerable chroma smearing from bright light sources. However, when stopped down to f2.8, it's mostly gone, and by f4, it's completely gone. When coupled with my R5 at 45 megapixels with the camera corrections turned on, the image quality at f1.8 in the middle of the image is very sharp, but contrast could be better. In the corners, sharpness is good, but you can see a smidge of ghosting and further lowering of contrast. When stopped down to f2.8, the lens produces a punchier image, and at f4, the image is fantastic, staying sharp all the way down to f16, where we start to see image softening due to diffraction. Stopping down to f22, the image is soft. But overall, this is a great performing lens for the money. Granted, a more expensive RF-L lens will give you punchier, sharper images, but the real question is, do you need that much sharpness in the corners of your image when wide open? With automatic correction switched off, we see moderate barrel distortion and heavy vignetting at f1.8. Stopping down at 2.8 produces more brightness across the image, and at f4 the results are even better. But after this, there are no more real improvements. With a 1:2 ratio macro ability, you can get very close to your subject, so let's test that out. Here we can see the image quality is very sharp at f1.8. When stopped down to f2.8, the sharpness is excellent. Close-up images remain this sharp all the way down to f16, where again, softness from diffraction starts to creep in, and by f22 the image is, well, it's soft. This Canon lens performs exceptionally well here for the price point. At f1.8 there is a notable pink highlighting before the planar focus and green in the fall-off area. However, when stopped down to f2.8, we see that color fringing is greatly reduced, which isn't that bad for an affordable $450 lens. And even though this lens is made from plastic, it has serious potential. For the money, we can forego the lack of high-end weather sealing and the stupidly overpriced sold separately lens hood. The electronics work great, the lens works as advertised, the image quality is amazing. And this lens is versatile enough that you can use it for both photo and video work with confidence. It may not be an optically perfect lens, but it is super enjoyable to use. And sometimes with photography, that's all that matters. Until next time.